This article stresses the need for an approach to language acquisition in early childhood that is not embedded in a transformationalist model. It presents a view of language, self and other, that is consistent with symbolic interactionist, pragmatic tradition in sociology. It describes a stage and level, like model of language acquisition, and it deals with the infant and the young child as the active participants in their own linguistic experiences. The infant begins life as a potential social organism. He can see, hear, smell, taste, feel heat, cold, and pain. Equipped with these abilities, the infant behaves in a social fashion toward others. He acts in ways that produce social responses from others. His smiles and cries are rewarded and bring attention from caretakers. The socializing behaviors of the infant produce profound economic, political, and social psychological alternation in the world of caretakers. According to the author, his purpose in the article to review the issues which surround the language acquisition process. The transformational model of language acquisition. In Chomsky's review of Skinner's verbal behavior, he forcefully argued that a traditional and strict stimulus reinforcement model of language acquisition could not account for how a child arrives at an understanding of notion of grammar which make perfect linguistic utterance possible. The transformationalists assert that a grammar is a theory of a language. It is a theory which should be able to discriminate sentences from non-sentences, relate sentence structures to both meanings and sounds. It is a theory which should be able to account for or generate all possible sentences of the language. The critical issues arrived in the article. First, a brief critique of the transformationalist grammar position will be offered. Second, a view of the social and socializing relationship between the child and the caretaker will be offered. Third, a view of language acquisition which rests on historical and comparative data from pre-literature societies and culture. The difference between theory of the grammar and theory. A theory of language and of language acquisition must be more than a theory of the grammar of a given language. It must be a theory in use. It must be able to account for how the infant acquires. Language consists of more than rules of syntax, semantics, and morphology, while theory of grammar should be able to discriminate sentences to non-sentences, related structures to both meaning and sounds, and its theory which should be able to generate all possible sentences of the language. Their forms of linguistic behavior can be discussed. Silent, vocal speech is defined as both public verbal utterances, which are defined as speech, and paralinguistic gestures, including facial movements, smiles, nods, fronts as movement of the body. And it is important to give stimulus feedback to the child because it leads to a convergence in sound patterning on the part of the child. Such convergences in response in turn lead the child to relate specific sounds towards objects, situations, activities, and so on. The different models of language acquisition has three phases. In phase 1, imitation of the behavior of the others is critical. But in phase 2, at this stage, the child is still unable to fully or with any regularity evoke in himself their responses. to the stimuli of an absent other, while in phase 3, the beginning of a self-conception are emerging. The child begins to express personal ownership of prized object. And the theory of language acquisition found in the module, the modern theories in language acquisition. So that, based on that article, the 3 realizations that I learned is the acquisition of language in early childhood has been compared to the ways in which members of a preliterate culture acquired and passed on an oral tradition. The interaction between the child and the caretaker are critical because they give the child a set of symbolic experiences which are progressively molded into inner silent speech and thought. So that's all. Thank you.